Family reunions are supposed to bring people together, sharing food, laughter, and old memories. But this year, my sister decided to remind me just how little she thought of me. When I arrived, dressed neatly and carrying a dish I'd worked hard to prepare, I looked for my seat. My name wasn't there. In fact, my chair had been hidden, shoved out of sight. She smirked, waving me off like I was an afterthought. I didn't argue. I simply stood quietly, watching the room. Because what she didn't know was this. I owned the very venue she thought she controlled. The reunion had been her idea, or so she claimed. She sent out the invitations, organized the catering, and strutted around as if she were queen of the family. I let her. It didn't matter to me who got the credit, but when I walked into the hall carrying a tray of homemade rolls, I noticed something was off. Tables were beautifully set with white linens, name cards carefully arranged. I searched for mine, front, middle, back, nothing. "Excuse me," I asked one of the cousins. "Did you see my place card?" Before they could answer, my sister appeared, her smile tight. "Oh, I must have forgotten. There's just not enough room this year. You don't mind standing, do you?" The cousins exchanged awkward glances. My face burned. For a moment, I thought about walking out, but instead I set down the rolls and straightened my back. "Of course," I said softly. She smirked, clearly pleased with herself, and turned back to her admirers. I stood quietly against the wall, watching as she soaked in the compliments. People whispered about how beautiful the hall looked, how elegant the dinner was. She nodded graciously, taking it all in, never once acknowledging that the walls surrounding us, the chandeliers sparkling overhead, and the polished floor beneath their feet were mine. 2 years earlier, I had invested in this venue with a business partner. We renovated it from the ground up, pouring in over $300,000. It had become a thriving event space, booked months in advance. But I hadn't told my sister. Why would I? She never cared about my accomplishments. So when she pulled that petty stunt, hiding my chair as if to erase me, I realized she had given me a gift. The perfect chance to remind her, and everyone else, exactly who I was. I lingered near the back, a quiet shadow in a room full of noise. My sister paraded around the tables, her laugh high-pitched and triumphant. Every time someone praised the beautiful hall, she tilted her head as if she deserved the credit. "Such a perfect place," Aunt Margaret said. "How did you ever manage to get it?" My sister's lips curved in that smug little smile. "Connections," she replied. "You know me. I always find the best." I nearly laughed into my napkin. Connections, indeed. The only connection she had was me. The evening moved on. Plates clattered, forks scraped, and I stood with my back to the wall, ignored. No one offered me a chair. No one seemed to notice that I didn't have a place at the table. And my sister? She glanced my way more than once, satisfaction gleaming in her eyes. Let her have her moment, I thought. The bigger the stage, the louder the fall. I wandered toward the catering staff, exchanging a few quiet words. They knew me, every one of them. After all, I signed their checks. Their eyes flicked toward me with respect, but at my signal, they stayed silent. Not yet. The night wore on until dessert arrived. Layers of cake wheeled out with sparklers. Cameras flashed. Laughter rose. My sister clinked her glass with a spoon, calling for everyone's attention. "Family," she began grandly, "is about making memories. And tonight, I wanted to give you the best. The finest venue, the most beautiful food, the warmest gathering, all because I love you." Applause broke out. People cheered. She beamed, basking in the glow of her own performance. That's when I felt the calm settle over me. The time had come. I stepped forward, slow and steady, my voice cutting gently through the noise. "A beautiful speech," I said. Heads turned, conversations hushed. "And you're right. This venue is perfect." My sister froze, glass halfway to her lips. I smiled, letting the pause linger just long enough. "I should know." After all, I own it. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The catering staff straightened at once, as if confirming the truth without words. My sister's face went pale, the color draining as the applause around her turned into whispers. And for the first time that evening, every eye in the room was on me. The room fell into stunned silence. Forks clinked against plates. Chairs scraped as people turned. A few cousins gasped audibly, their eyes bouncing from me to my sister. My sister forced a laugh, brittle and hollow. "Don't be ridiculous," she said quickly. "You don't own this place." I booked it myself. The head caterer stepped forward politely, bowing his head slightly. "With respect, ma'am, our contracts are signed directly with her." He nodded toward me. The whispers swelled into a low roar. Aunt Margaret leaned in, eyes wide. "You mean to tell us this is your venue?" I nodded calmly. 2 years ago, I invested in this hall. We rebuilt it from the ground up. New floors, new chandeliers, everything you see here. It cost me $300,000, and I've cherished every moment of watching it thrive. My sister's face flushed crimson. She slammed her glass down, the stem snapping under her grip. "You're lying! You're just trying to embarrass me!" I stepped closer, my voice steady but firm. "No, dear sister. You embarrassed yourself when you hid my chair, when you decided I didn't deserve a place at the table, all while standing in a hall that exists because of me." The cousins began murmuring, some shaking their heads, and Uncle chuckled under his breath. "So that's why the staff kept looking at you," he said. "They knew." My daughter spoke up from across the table, her voice clear. "Mom never brags. She never shows off. That's why none of us knew. But she's telling the truth." The weight of her words settled over the room. All at once, the atmosphere shifted. Eyes that had once overlooked me now gleamed with recognition, with respect. My sister sank back into her chair, shoulders stiff, eyes darting anywhere but at me. For once, her tongue failed her. I took a deep breath, letting the hush linger before speaking again. "This reunion is about family, and family means no one should be left standing. Every voice deserves to be heard. Every person deserves a seat at the table." Slowly, I reached behind me and pulled forward the chair that had been hidden, the one she thought would keep me silent. I set it down at the head of the table and sat, spine straight, chin lifted. And just like that, the balance of the evening shifted. The family leaned in, eager to hear from me, and my sister, for once, had nothing left to say. The air in the hall felt different after I sat down. The same chandeliers sparkled above, the same food was spread across the tables. But suddenly, every conversation turned toward me. Cousins leaned in, asking how I had managed such an investment. A nephew tapped his glass, grinning. "You've been holding out on us, haven't you?" I chuckled softly. "Not holding out, just working quietly. Some things don't need to be announced until the right moment." Meanwhile, my sister fidgeted in her chair, stabbing at her food without eating. The smug confidence she wore earlier had melted into a stiff mask. She tried to join conversations, but her words fell flat. For once, the spotlight didn't follow her. Instead, relatives praised the hall, and this time, they knew whom to thank. "I had no idea you built all this," Aunt Margaret said, eyes shining. "You should be proud." "I am," I replied, but not because of the money. I'm proud that I created a place where people can come together, where family can gather, celebrate, and remember what matters. I let my gaze drift deliberately toward my sister, and I'm proud that in this hall, every single person deserves a seat. A hush fell. My words weren't sharp, but they carried weight. A few cousins nodded, glancing uncomfortably at my sister. She muttered something about being tired and pushed her plate away. For the first time in years, she looked small, diminished not by cruelty, but by truth. The rest of the evening unfolded differently. Relatives who once brushed past me now lingered by my chair. They asked my advice, told me they admired my strength. Even the children seemed to sense the shift, gathering near me as if drawn to the calm in my presence. And all the while, my sister sat silent, the very chair she had denied me now anchoring me at the head of the table. I didn't need to raise my voice. I didn't need to gloat. The truth spoke louder than pride ever could. By the time dessert was served, the hall no longer felt like her stage. It felt like mine. Not because I owned the building, but because I had reclaimed my place within the family. When the night finally wound down, people gathered their coats and offered lingering hugs. But unlike past reunions, no one brushed past me with half-hearted goodbyes. They stopped, looked me in the eye, and thanked me, sincerely. One cousin whispered, "I didn't know you had it in you." "You've inspired me." "You," another said. "You've always been the quiet one. But tonight, you showed real strength." I smiled, my heart warm. It wasn't the money they admired. It was the way I had carried myself, with patience, dignity, and restraint. As the last guest drifted out, my sister lingered near the doorway. She fiddled with her purse, eyes downcast. For once, she didn't have a snide remark ready. Finally, she muttered, "I didn't know you owned this place." I nodded. "You didn't ask." Her shoulders slumped. I shouldn't have hidden your chair. It was childish. It was cruel, I corrected gently. But now you understand. Seats can be moved, but respect cannot. Either it's given freely, or it's lost. She flinched, then nodded, unable to meet my gaze. For the first time, I saw something almost foreign in her expression. Humility. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. The lesson had already been delivered, not with shouting or revenge, but with truth revealed at exactly the right time. When the hall finally emptied, I walked slowly across the polished floors, running my hand along the smooth wood of the chairs. This space, once just brick and mortar, had become something far more valuable, a stage where dignity could be restored. And in that moment, I understood something deeper. Ownership wasn't just about deeds or investments. It was about owning your worth, your voice, your place at the table, even when others try to push you aside. As I turned off the lights and locked the door behind me, I felt lighter. My sister had tried to erase me, but instead she had given me the chance to show everyone exactly who I was. And from that night on, no one in the family ever forgot it. In the end, the reunion wasn't remembered for the food or the speeches. It was remembered for the moment the truth came out, that the woman without a chair was the one who owned the entire hall. My sister thought hiding my seat would make me invisible, but she learned that dignity doesn't disappear with a piece of furniture. It stands tall, even in silence, until the right moment to be revealed. The $300,000 I invested bought more than chandeliers and polished floors. It bought me a place no one could take away. So let me ask you, have you ever been pushed aside, only to rise higher than anyone expected? Share your story in the comments, and join me for more tales where quiet strength turns humiliation into respect.